Okay, so everyone's favourite mustached dog plushie raping nonce who eats his own shit's back. Yes, I am talking about Lance Ronay. And he's made a series of Woe Is Me podcasts whining about his bullshit. Now, I'm not going to lie, I originally was going to just respond to the podcasts point by point. But admittedly, I tried it last night. I got about 40 minutes into a video and was like, I really just cannot even be fucked anymore. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. And it just makes me really fucking depressed. Every time I look at this prick, I just get depressed. Partly because I honestly think that this is where a fair few people's lives could have gone had they not fixed them. Like, if I had just been where I had been at my lowest point when I was fucking 15 throughout my entire life, I would possibly have been Lance. Maybe not as bad, but I possibly would have lived the life of Lance, just living in a shithole, fucking staring at a beige wall, surrounded by old gadgets because I can't afford new ones, just constantly trying to convince myself that I'm not wasting and pissing my life away. Honestly, it's not only sad, but it's also pathetic as fuck. So Lance has come back with his fucking podcast, What Happened to My Enemies, where he basically is now, because he thinks that everyone's gone, he's trying his woe is me victim narrative again, because it's worked so well all the other times. And the thing is, like, he's being as deliberately vague as possible to try and dodge any form of criticism for everything that he's done. He insists he's never done anything wrong, despite the fact that somebody attempted suicide because he harassed them for fucking years. And even the fact that he stopped harassing them isn't down to Lance's character. It's because the person jettisoned themselves off the internet and gave him no further choice. Honestly, all that stuff is the fucking child trafficking. The fact that he spent the last year doing all kinds of crazy shit to basically make a bunch of people laugh because he somehow thinks that that's going to exonerate him from his crimes. And in truth, I've just reached a point where all I'm having to do is prove the same shit over and over again. It's like Nice Lone Wolf, but like even Nice Lone Wolf at least has the intelligence to not fucking say something. Sorry, my nose is getting all filled up. At least she has the fucking intelligence to not fucking say something when it's been categorically misproven right in her face. Like the multiple year thing with Megby. She dropped that narrative because she could no longer sustain it. Lance, on the other hand, will just hope that you cannot prove something twice. And it's infuriating having to deal with someone who will openly deny shit that 2 hours ago they said, oh yeah, I totally did that. Like, it's just impossible. It's impossible to have a conversation because he goes in full denial mode. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. I don't do that on camera, unlike our boy here. And anyway, Lance has made this Woe Is Me podcast, right? And he's talking about, oh, I don't talk to them anymore. They don't talk to me. So that's good. But I made a podcast talking shit about them. And I've also linked them to my clapper and a bunch of other things in the hopes that they'll harass me and I'll get in trouble again. And I'm like, bitch, why? Why do you do this? Why do you constantly say, I want to be left alone, but then you constantly seek out the people who don't like you on a regular basis? By the way, you don't need to do that a lot of the time because I can find you quite easily if I want to. But you're also like, why do I get harassing phone calls? Maybe it's because a couple of months back, you fucking videoed yourself on your channel with your own phone number on the screen saying, call this number and harass me. And I'm not taking that out of context or adding any hyperbole or exaggeration. You literally said those words, call me and harass me on this number, which you placed on the screen. And then you wonder why you've been getting annoying phone calls for months. You're so full of shit. You really are. Well, no, actually, you're mostly full of shit, but you did eat some of it. So, yeah, maybe you're mostly 90% full of shit. So, anyway, Lance is also repeatedly telling everyone that he has a girlfriend. I don't really care about that. That's not my fucking business. All I'll say is if you suddenly decide that fucking with her in mentally is a funny thing to do, like you have done with every other human who's gotten close to you, I swear to Christ, Lance, I will fucking ruin you. I will fucking bite the bullet and push through and make that documentary I've been wanting to make for ages. But every time I start it, I have said I'd do it, but the problem is every time I start it, I look at it and I think, Jesus Christ, look at this fucking man. I could do so much more with my life than talk about this fucking waste of flesh. Seriously, Lance was crying because someone said he's not cool. Even if you take away the fact that he's a nonce who eats his own shit, the dude is the most pathetic wretch I've ever fucking laid my eyes on. He just sits in a fucking pit all day, doing nothing with his life, trying to shill shitty websites for pennies. He has absolutely no social skills because he only cares about himself and has not been able to sustain a conversation in his life that isn't solely about him talking about a topic that he's interested in. And I get that's part of autism, but you can improve that. Before he goes, oh, I'm autistic, blah, blah, blah. So also, he responded to Dan Chai's really good video about Lance's past, which involved testimonies from people who've been involved with it. I was actually in that video. And he basically ignored everything that was said and insisted that none of it was true, guys. He censored Gage. He stole Dan's video for his podcast and censored Gage's part and talked basically a load of propaganda to try and hide the fact that Gage was talking about him noncing on some kids on DeviantArt, which, in all honesty, if that wasn't true, like he says, then I actually could have respected him making a case for it not being true. But he doesn't. He just says, it's not true, guys. I'm a wonderful guy. I'm the best guy in the world. Yeah, I'm so cool. And then he just plays the rest of it. And then he uses Kaz Warfox's eloquently put together speech about how people like Lance add to the stigma that autistic people gain on a regular basis because of some bad actors as a fucking woe is me pity party whilst he contributes to the fucking stigma. Lance is the reason why nobody respects autistic people. Why they think they're all wasters and losers. Ironically enough, he does this to get his way, but then he tried to join the military, and because of that stigma, he wasn't able to join the military. It's actually fucking hilarious to me. He's so fucking stupid, he doesn't realise that he has been fucked by this stigma, yet he contributes to it even more because it saves his own ass in his own eyes, which it doesn't, because nobody who knows fuck all about autism is going to back you and say, yeah, you know what, defending child traffickers is totally a normal thing for autistic people to do. The only man I know of who's stupid enough to do that is fucking Stephen Gandhi. So, the other thing as well that I wanted to address, he also reviewed one of my memes, which I thought was really funny. He called it a masterpiece, but he also said it's bad and he hates it. And a bunch of it's a confused mess of a podcast. And also he said something else in one of the videos that I wanted to address, but in all honesty, who gives a fuck? He's also crying about the fact that he's got consequences for his actions still, probably because he's ran away from them for 2 years and continues to do shitty things. So, at this point, it's mate, you know why this is happening? It's because you will not fucking fess up and show any sign that you want to improve at all. I found some old shit of yours from like 2012. You are the same man you were 10 years ago. That's depressing. How many of us between the age of 20 and 30 can say we're the same man we were 10 years ago? I mean, if you were 20, you'd be 10, but you get the idea. I mean, Lance is the same fucking person he was when he was 20. I can't even remember my mindset when I was 20 because it was that long ago and I've been through so much shit and done so much and been through so much and grown and lost parts of myself and lost people and things. And Lance has just sat there for 10 years doing nothing. Throughout that whole journey that I went through, which we call life, I look at what Lance did in the meantime, and he has done the exact same fucking thing every day and expected shit to change. And it's the most depressing fucking story I think I've ever seen in my life. Let me put it this fucking way, right? There are people who have been locked in solitary confinement for a decade who have done more with their life than Lance. Like, fucking hell. So, just honestly, I didn't want to make a long ass fucking video talking about Lance's points in quotations. One point after another, like any of it means anything. Lance, you're full of shit. You're a liar. Everybody knows what you did. I've proven it time and time again, and I'm tired of fucking proving the most basic of shit. Hell, I've learnt more about you because you opening your fucking mouth caused Kaz Warfox to point some more things out which I didn't know about. Like the fact that you ran a fucking panel for Nathan Larson and helped him groom people. By the way, he also doesn't know about the latest developments with Nathan, which is pretty funny. I just wanted to add that I'm really glad Nathan was raped to death in prison with a pipe wrapped up in barbed wire. I don't know if that's actually how Nathan Larson died, but I like to think that's how he died. But yeah, Lance's only friend in the world, Nathan, is kaput. He dead. He ain't coming back. He's dead. And I mean that in the most literal sense possible. Never been happier that someone's died. But yeah, I guess Lance is now going to celebrate that because he's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm so glad Nathan's dead because now he won't be able to fucking rat me out in court. And I'll be like, yeah, well, if Nathan doesn't, I fucking will. But the thing is, like, to finish, Lance, shut the fuck up with this false narrative bullshit. You have never successfully failed anyone who has shown the slightest bit of interest. The best you can hope for is you meet someone who doesn't care to begin with. And then you can be like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything and I'm a good boy. And the guy's like, yeah, sure you are. And that's basically the best you can hope for. Right, that's it. I don't want to talk about Lance ever fucking again, but I got a feeling I probably will. I'm going to be honest and say that at this point, I really want to work on my curiosity sake stuff again, but I have been busy lately with life stuff. So I'm going to get back to that as soon as I can. Admittedly, I had plans for this part of the year and they've all just kind of gone out the window because I've just been sort of, life has happened basically. But I've got backup plans, I've got things, and I can't wait to just get back to just doing content that doesn't depress the fuck out of me. I kind of like working on the But Ugly Martians thing a lot more than I like working on Lance and Nice, to be honest. Because at the very fucking least, it doesn't change its narrative every 5 fucking minutes. Anyway, toodles.